everybody, I am Scotty J. Welcome back to Rock Titan Live, and wow, we have an awesome guest with us today. He knows the secrets that you keep when you've been talking in your sleep, and he absolutely loves everything about you. We got Mike Skill from the Romantics with us today, and we're going to be talking about a new single that he has coming out, and it's going to be coming out on record store day. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Without
Digital
further
record.
ado, yes, Mike Skill, how are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you, Scotty. It's a pleasure to be here. Like I was telling you, we've been on the road so long, the Romantics from the 80s. This is the first chance I really got a chance to take a month and do what I like to do, release songs and write and work on the yard. And I feel like George Harrison in the backyard with the trees.
That's wild. So the
It's all
Romantics,
good.
I mean, obviously, like I was telling you off the record, although now it's on the record. I grew up with you guys,
Yeah.
and I love your music, as I know much of our audience does. I mean, how could you not? But you guys have been gigging ever since, huh? I mean, you guys literally have
Yeah.
been busy.
Yeah. Yeah. We were either off in Europe, South America, or just hitting the U.S. and Canada. And we've kept it
Wow.
going, and we recorded a few times some new stuff and that's in the can way back.
Right.
Um, but I had these songs that I've just put out this year. Um, I've had those going for a while in my head, and finally laid them down, recorded them in my studio. Um, I'm in Oregon right now, and
Okay.
or I live in Oregon, and I had a studio out way out in the woods, pretty close to the woods, and they accumulated. And in last year, I got together with Chuck Alcasian, well-known rock producer in Detroit, Pearl Sound, and we put it all together. We mixed them, and we started talking about putting them out, and that's what's happening now. Yeah,
Right on. Well, you mentioned your geographic location, and I'm glad to hear
yeah,
you're out there in the woods because obviously, right now, and this is kind of a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about with your new single that's going to be going gangbusters here. But I hope you're well out of harm's way. There's some craziness going out where you are.
well, it's woods everywhere, so
All
I
right.
have to clarify that.
All
But
right.
it still feels like Detroit in a way that because it's a working class town, it's still I grew up in Detroit, and that's where I get all my flavor from. All my musical Motown from the Motown stuff up through the rhythm and blues and the blues and all the rock and roll stuff that really a huge scene when I was like 13 or 14 in Detroit with guys from MC5 and Bob Seger and Dick Wagner from the Frost and all those bands. It was quite a time to grow up in and learning guitar.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
and unfortunately for me, I missed that in person. I
Well,
mean, I've gone back and I've listened to all that
yeah,
music. I've seen like the legacy videos and stuff like that. So I've had the opportunity to at least see it. See
well,
what
yeah,
you actually live. But you talk about MC5. So why
yeah,
don't we just talk about your man Wayne Kramer, who's featured on 67 Riot?
yeah,
Everybody, right now, 67 Riot, brand
yeah.
new single from Mike Skill, and it's
With,
going to be
with
coming out here very soon for the public to enjoy on vinyl, which I absolutely love. But wow, I mean, you talk about Detroit, MC5, the Motor City 5.
Well, their first single was "Looking at You." They had do a couple other songs, and I was probably 14. And one of my friends had the single, their little record with the independent label, and I borrowed it, and I must have wore it out before I gave it back. But it was on A Square Records, and it was a raw thing. If you can imagine, at that time, there was nothing like it. It was like Yardbirds and the Who and the Detroit Energy, and they were all noise and feedback and rock and roll. It really stood out. And this was just before Hendrix came out a couple of years and 3 years, and it just really made an impression on. There were a lot of bands playing all over the place, but there were mostly soul groups in Detroit. A lot of
Right.
soul groups in the 50s and 60s playing black music and that. And then after the Beatles and Kinks and Stones hit, it exploded in Detroit. Everybody had guitars, and everybody worked in factories or shops, the noisy factories, smoky city. But yeah, it was quite an experience growing up in Detroit at that time.
They don't call it Detroit Rock City for nothing.
Yeah, Wayne Kramer, he played guitar for them. If you don't know that, Wayne Kramer
Of course.
and Fred
Yeah.
Smith, they were like these dual guitars that they would orchestrate their parts, rock and roll wise, and they would orchestrate their guitar parts, and it would be a rhythmic onslaught. And then that singer Rob Tyner, he had that bouncing off the beat lyric style, and yeah, it was really good. It was really quite a time.
So MC5 is kind of one of those legendary underground rock bands, came out in the late 60s and existed into the very early 70s.
Yeah.
And obviously the band as a whole had their trials and tribulations, and it was just kind of a product of the time, really. I mean, with everything that was going on. But that being said, you caught up with their guitarist, who is a living legend himself, and I mean, we're talking about Wayne Kramer. How did you catch up with him, and
I was
why did you want to work with him?
Well, mostly because I grew up listening to that sound and the Detroit sound and the energy and the attack. I mean, Wayne Kramer was like kind of like James Brown on guitar. He'd do spins and on his knees, and Fred Smith would mimic him, and they were pretty dynamic on stage. And there was really a static sound, a static, uh, energetic, chaos, kind of a chaos, kind of hard edge in your face rock and roll. It was and it was not like nothing else. And I think they influenced a lot of the English bands that came over and played at the Grandy Ballroom because they always opened. Uh, but Wayne, I met Wayne. I didn't meet him back then. I saw their shows back then when I was a kid. The
Okay.
Tarter Field show, a lot of the other shows they did. They used to set up in the park in Ann Arbor and just play for free, right out, on a weekend, but Wayne I met when Johnny Thunders was in town. They came through. There was some kind of party or get together, and I met Wayne there. It was Johnny Thunders, and uh, hi, hello, how you doing, man? With mutual respect and everything to those guys, and hung out a little bit. But and the Romantics. I always tried to throw that flavor of Fred and Wayne's guitar style in Romantics. The attack, the counterpoint with the drums. I started out as a little kid, kind of drumming, but ended up on guitar. So I think I had that rhythm kind of thing with guitar.
Interesting.
Good rhythm player and basic straight ahead Chuck Berry, Wayne Kramer, Fred Smith guitar style.
Right on.
But Wayne, I met him, and then I did these songs. I had these tunes, and I had been thinking about '67 Riot as a subject since I grew up during that era. Uh, the jeeps down the street for me, uh, the National Guard out, the news, the helicopters, the smoke 5 miles away, 4 miles away, the newscasters blowing it all up. If it bleeds, if it's it runs first on the news. Um, and they really hyped people up, made them
Yeah.
fearful.
Nothing like what we have going on right now whatsoever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is this like deja vu for you or what?
Well, it's well, yeah, kind of. It's been yeah, kind of. But you have to remember at that time it was still kind of 50s, 60s ish. New suburbs, real calm, and everybody's got their 9 to 5 job and their car, their family. They go to the park on the weekends, and then you have this rush, this rock and roll scene happening. The love, the year of love, and peace and flowers, and it was pretty. Yeah, it was
No, I know what you're saying.
counterculture was happening. I mean, young people wanted to be just like now. Right now, it's young kids in the streets, and they want to make their point and build a good future.
It really is a renaissance. It really is a
So,
renaissance. And I want to talk about 67 right here at length. But first, Mr. Mike Skill, I got to address your hair because, like, you're a little older than me, all right?
yeah,
And, like, I have no hair, and you still have all your hair. And I'm going back, and I'm looking at the video talking in your sleep, and I'm looking at all your ridiculous afros that you had back in the 80s. I'm like, oh, my God. And here you are. You still have a magnificent set of locks underneath that hat of yours. Man, I'm telling you.
well, my dad, when he passed away, I was 90. two, and he had a full head of hair still. It's the Italian Irish
Aha.
American thing.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm just jealous. I had to call you out on that, but good on you, man. Good
It's
on
all
you, man.
good.
Look at you. You look great.
Yeah.
You
Well,
absolutely
thanks.
look great. But
Well,
you
we're
do.
laid back. We're laid back here, but yeah, we're working this stuff and doing a lot of promotion. My wife, my son, and
Very cool.
the rest of the team, uh, and we're really excited about the release of the vinyl with Wayne
Yeah.
Kramer on 67 Riot. I recorded original, just all my guitars, my bass, and a drummer came in a still a studio down the road, and it came out so good. I'm thinking, man, I'd like to get Wayne on this, and spoke with him. He was into it. He told you I love the song, and he threw his manic stuff on it, and it came out really good.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you. I mean, did it take any particular kind of coercion, to get Wayne engaged on this product? And, was there anything specific about it? I mean, obviously, 67 Riot, we're talking about the Detroit riots. And of course, now we've got riots and
Yeah.
whew, all over the dang place now.
Yeah.
Was this
Well,
something that really struck home for him, where he just felt that much more motivation, other than the fact that you're an amazing musician yourself? Just the theme of this production, was that something that he just really wanted to be involved with?
well, the Motor City Five, the MC5 had Motor City's Burning. They had a song like that during the time, and Wayne. I mean, I don't know. It took me a long time to ask him because I was really fan crazy in my head, and
You went
I,
fanboy on him? What?
yeah, yeah. And my son's going, call him, just call him. And we
Right.
were out somewhere, and I called him
That's cool.
and asked him, hey, Wayne, I have this tune, and I'd like you to check it out, and maybe you could play some guitar on it, and you could do your thing. And he said, send it over, and I sent it over. And the next few weeks, he laid a track down, and we brought it back and mixed it. And I go, I got to get this out. I'd like to get it out on vinyl.
That's so
And
cool.
so now we have Digital Record Store Day. Over here, we have Music Millennium. Terry, who owns the place, he started pretty much Record Store Day, and he's the guy to blame for that. And
Yep.
so they're having Digital Record Store Day, and we'll have the record that will be released that day, and it'll be available.
Yeah, so everybody, again, Record Store Day is
Yeah.
August 29th.
Yep.
And I think that's awesome. I love the fact that vinyl is coming back. The cool thing is, like, for my kids, the next generation, I don't even know what generation they're even called,
Yep.
but all these kids that were born after the year, say 2005, it's cool to see that they're getting so into, I guess, what we would now call retro, even though when you and I were, coming up through the ranks, I mean, vinyl was that medium. I mean, it's
Well,
just that's
yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, you look at the landscape now for radio, music, and videos, and all the whole rock and roll media is like, uh, it, I still listen to independent rock and roll. These young bands coming out with their stuff, and bands that I've loved for a long time. But they have a lot of means to put out their own music now with digital. I had to, when I was coming up, you had to have a record deal to go in the studio because it was so expensive. It
Right.
was thousands of dollars. You had to get signed, and that was always my dream, was to be in the studio recording. And now you just record stuff in your basement, in your bedroom, out on the porch or wherever. And also when you have a landscape of this pop music that's pretty it's it's pretty mundane. Well, not mundane. It's just pretty even. It's not in your face that much, and
There's a lot of redundancy. It almost seems
yeah,
like.
and so there's a lot to work with. I mean, there's a lot to like to stir the pot,
Right.
with rock and roll. I mean, and that's what it's always been about: stir the pot, and make make trouble in a way
Right.
with
Right.
the music, the attitude, and that's what the young folks do, young kids do, and yeah,
Right. Well, before anyone and everyone had the opportunity to use the technology they have now to try to make themselves a rock star, when things were much more difficult, again, everybody, we have Mr. Mike Skill from The Romantics with us, and he made it. He made it when it was really, I mean, it was The golden age. It was the golden age of music
Yeah.
because, of course, you guys were right there at the birth of MTV.
Yeah.
And that acronym stands for music television. I
Mhm.
realize not a lot of people associate MTV with music television anymore, but there was a
Yeah.
time when it actually meant that. And you guys were one of the very earliest bands featured on that media platform. I gotta ask you, Mike, what do you think about how things have evolved like over the last? I mean, you've been in music for 50 years, over 50 years.
40. Yeah.
We have there. I mean, you've been in it all your dang life. What do
Yeah.
you
That's
think
true.
about how it's kind of evolved? I guess let's go from the 20th century into the 21st century.
Yeah.
Any particular
It's,
thoughts
it's,
about
uh,
that?
Well, there's so many young groups I think that need to be seen, but that's the thing. I think their raucousness, their attitude is because they aren't being heard or not as much heard. Uh, that they're fierce in their dedication. Uh, uh, Independent stuff is still happening, and it was really tough because for Romantics because at that time, like kind of like now, you had the disco thing happen, which was whatever it was, and we had to fight. We weren't the only band. I mean, Ramones were not really liked they were not respected. I mean, like now. I mean, we
Punk was
always loved them because
fresh.
we
Yeah.
were we were going back and forth to New York, Blondie, Johnny Thunders, Dolls. We were in that whole thing,
Right.
and uh, and what was I going to say? Yeah, we had to fight like Elvis Costello, The Clash. No one was getting played on the radio. You'd have these Sunday night shows, independent radio that would play the music, but major AOR record radio stations they would still have those 40 songs they'd play over and over again. Led Zeppelin every 20 minutes,
Right.
Kansas every 20 minutes, Yes every 20 minutes, and then you had these young bands coming, kicking ass, Clash, Ramones, uh, Dictators from New York, uh, the New York Dolls, Stooges. They weren't playing Stooges at all. Iggy was not respected at all. Uh, and we just pushed and pushed, and we finally got our airplay. And with What I Like About You, and it was really tough because they didn't want to give it up. The radio didn't want to give it up. All the AOR guys, the record companies, it's hard to get signed. It was really tough.
That's
And
amazing. That's amazing.
we've been. This is the longest I've been off the road in since 1981.
So, I know, again, for a lot of people that are, the social distancing and home quarantining and all that stuff, I know for a lot of the road dogs, like yourself, they're kind of looking for, I mean, this period of time is actually kind of like, whew, at least I have a legit excuse, to like finally just kind of relax at home.
Yeah.
Have you been making the most of this? Have you been taking advantage
Oh,
of this?
totally.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, with the family, of course, and solidifying my output of my music and getting it out there in the right way to everybody, digital and digitally and that. But I was going to add to the other thing. In the '60s, they had these video shows in Europe, and we had the dance shows in America, Dick Clark, those kind of things, and they would bands would come on, or they'd play the video. Well, that stopped. None of that was going on through the late '60s and '70s in the U.S., but it kept going in Europe, Germany, France, Ireland, and England. They had videos. Bands would make videos. The Who would make a video and they play it, and they'd come on. They'd come on the show and talk and show and whatever. We didn't have that, and then MTV happened. That's what the difference between then and now is.
that was a game changer. That
Yeah.
was a major game changer. But so 67 Riot, you've got this baby that's going to be going out on vinyl August 29th. So on one side, you've got 67 Riot. On the other side, you've got My Bad Pretty. Now, when I went out to your YouTube channel, and again, everybody, Mike Skill from the Romantics, just Google it, go to YouTube because he's got some other music out there. He's got some other videos out there that you must check out. it seems more like you could have literally, obviously you can't put an EP together. Well, I guess you kind of could put it together on vinyl, but yeah, it's clearly much different on CD or digitally or something like that. But you had other original music, solo music that you've produced just as yourself.
Yeah.
What was it, I guess, about that, My Bad Pretty, that you went with that for the other side of 67 Riot versus, say, anything else? And are you, bigger question, I guess, are you looking at putting together more of a LP potentially as a Mike Skill, solo band project?
Yeah, well, with romantics, it's usually coming up with a part or coming up with a song and then presenting it to the band, and other guys add what they might want to put the icing on the cake, to finish it. That's why it worked with me. I come up with the guitar hooks, the parts, the chords, and then present it and say, here, I got some lyrical ideas, I got some melody ideas, I got a title. Let's throw it in the soup, and usually I'll start something like that. Then when it got to a point where I had so much stuff. You see my phone. My phone is full of ideas, song ideas, and titles. But it got to a point where I had so much stuff. I just started finishing it myself. Uh, I'd be on the road, come off the road, and start finishing songs. So, and a lot of these are just really straight-headed, raw attack. Man, they've got a little bit of the '60s thing to it, a little bit of the romantic thing. They got a little bit of the high energy early '70s thing, and then the rhythm and blues thing. So My Bad Pretty is a little bit of the rhythm and blues thing, uh, uh, not unlike BB King or Muddy Waters, but in my way, kind of garagey, more garage like Black Keys or something, or Jack White. It's that kind of thing, and it had an attitude, and I thought it was right. My Bad Pretty, it's a bad love gone good and then gone bad. uh, uh, so it just fit the vibe I wanted, and actually I will probably have like 6 to 7 songs that I will do an EP. I'll do a vinyl EP.
Right.
I could do it now, but I'm just waiting for the right time
Right on.
to put out the right tunes,
Right
and
on.
then a full on album maybe next year.
Oh,
But in the fall, I'm thinking about an EP release.
Mike, that would be awesome. Now,
Yeah.
so along those lines, I'm curious now, because you're actively writing and you're a great songwriter. Ha, how do you kind of distinguish between, I guess, what you're going to do for your own solo work versus, say, creating new music for the Romantics? Are we looking at new Romantics material coming out in the?
There's stuff. There's a few things that we've recorded. We'd have to go in and really just take the time, like right now, like this kind of open time. We have to take the time to get together and really sit down and throw some ideas around. And it's not hard, and it doesn't take that much time, but uh, it's work, and you have to really dedicate that time. So that would be, I would say, next year or sometime we'd have to do that to get anything out.
But is that
But
something we're realistically looking at? Are we
at the
looking at new
moment, no.
Romantics work?
At the moment, no, but I
Okay.
mean that's what it would have to be. We'd have to make the time, get together, and open the door.
All right.
I mean, I'm in Oregon. Drummer Brad's in Chicago, and Rich and Wally are in Detroit. So we have to. I'm not flying right now, but um, I may take a trip to Detroit coming up in a month or so, drive wise. Um, but no, yeah, this right now, this is on my plate, and this is what I'm doing up until so far to the new year, and then we'll see what happens out in January, February, March, the first quarter, and I've just got these great songs that were in my head, and I finished them up, and they were ready at the right time. It was kind of really lucky that I had them done before this all.
Well, I am so glad they went from
Yeah,
your brain
yeah,
onto paper and
yeah,
then on to vinyl from there, because that is absolutely where they belong. And again, everyone, we are here with Mike Skill from the
yeah,
Romantics, and that's very cool. So I know you're busy. I know you're busy, and thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining us on Rock Titan Live.
yeah.
Kind of some finishing thoughts here before I let you go. Having worked with Wayne Kramer, are you looking at maybe doing any other collaborations with him? Is
Oh
this
yeah,
some?
oh yeah. I've got that. I'm working on that. I can't. That's not finalized yet, but I've got two or three people I'm talking to, and I'll be putting the songs through the air, through the mail. They'll get them. They'll send them back, record something, and send it back, and we'll mix it. So
Okay.
yeah, there's a couple ideas here, and Wayne will be on some other stuff. I sent him a few songs, and the situation now the way it is, uh, and we'll be working. He'll be working on some other stuff, I think, and I got some other people in mind.
Wow.
This 67 Riot will be out on EP in the fall. I will have an EP in the fall,
Cool.
and I have a full album of material, but I'm just going with the EP first.
Okay.
I like to drip this stuff out instead of give everybody all at one time. And record store day will be 67 Riot coming up.
Right.
What is it? Moved to August? August 29th.
August 29th.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the big
You
record
can get
store
it on
day
my
that
website.
everybody needs to support. We
Yeah,
all need to support our record stores. My
my
God.
music will be available on MikeSkill.com, of course, and all the Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, all that stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. So
I
67
know,
Riot
67
with
Riot.
Wayne Kramer and Mike
Yep,
Skill is just a teaser of some amazing things to come with
yep.
you guys jamming on guitar and your
You're
amazing
rocking.
vocals. And Mike, thank you so much for joining us again on Rock Titan
That was
Live
my
today.
pleasure.
It's my
Anytime.
privilege and an honor, and I can't wait to see what you guys have going on. And for everybody out there watching right now, yes, we are with a living legend right now. Make sure you go check him out. We've got the links right here on the page. And if you enjoyed this conversation, which I have every bit of confidence you have, make sure you go subscribe to youtube.com/Rock Titan. That's it. And then, of course, we're going to have reviews of Mike's amazing music out on www.rocktitan.tv. Not
I want to say
.com.
hi to,
Yes.
that's it. I want to say hi to all my brothers and sisters from Detroit. Hello.
Right on.
Hope you guys keep safe, and we'll keep rocking it here.
Yes, yes. All
Thanks,
our
Scotty.
Motor City people and, yeah, Detroit. Oh, God. We love you all. And so many more folks I got to catch up with out there. You know, like I'm thinking of Kaleido. I'm going to give Kaleido a little shout out because they're
There
from
you
out
go.
there. And, of course, Uncle Ted, the
Right.
Nuge. We got to catch up with that original Motor City Madman. And, again, Mike, thank you. Privilege and honor. Please be safe out there on the West Coast. And
Yep.
yeah, it's all good.
Take
And
it
I
easy.
cannot wait to catch up with you. We're going to have to follow up once you have more music released. We'll follow back up in a few months.
Very good.
2021, we'll catch up.
I'll
Sound
probably have another. I'll have another single out it by the end of the year. So,
very
but this
cool.
is what I'm working on right now.
All right.
67 Riot at MikeSkill.com, man. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, again, everybody, I'm Scotty J with Rock Titan Music Television here with Mr. Mike Skill from the Romantics.
Thank
We're,
you, Scotty.
we're out.
Cheers.